My name is Jason Stanley. I'm the Jacob Urowsky Professor of Philosophy at Yale University. And today I'd like to discuss the difference between democratic education and fascist education. I'm using the term fascism here, as I do in my forthcoming book, How Fascism Works, to mean ultranationalism, an ultranationalist movement based on patriarchy and a myth of a great past in which the nation had glorious achievements and ruled over others. The purpose of a democratic education is to remind us of all the different aspects that make up our society. So in a democratic education, you would include the perspectives of all members of society. In the United States, that would be our indigenous population, women, African Americans, gays, industrialists, union members, all members of our population. In a fascist education, by contrast, you'd focus just on the dominant perspective. The purpose of focusing on the dominant perspective is to glorify the achievements of the nation and the traditions of the dominant race, though in some countries it can also be the dominant religion. India right now with certain Hindu nationalists. In a democratic education, the goal is to provide citizens with a full understanding of the different aspects of history that make up the nation's past. The goal here is not to glorify the nation, but rather to give citizens a background that enables them to make judgments about policy, to overcome divisions, and make for a more perfect unity. In fascist education, by contrast, the goal is to glorify the national traditions, to omit any sins of the past, to raise the nation to heights, to create admiration for its traditions and those who dominate in society. The goal of fascist education is to glorify. The goal of democratic education is to elucidate. Mussolini was very clear when he said in 1922, we are going to create a myth of a past. The mythic past will inspire us. The function of the mythic past that was to be taught in schools in Italy was to inspire people to change the present, to make it more like the vision of the past, where the glorious nation reigned, where men were warriors and heroic workers, and women were mothers and served traditional gender roles. Otherwise, in fascist education, the function is to promote job skills, because fascism prioritizes authoritarianism. It prioritizes obedience among the people to follow the leader. So people should not have the tools, have the critical tools to themselves weigh in on policy. Rather, their hearts should fill with pride when they think about the past of their country, rather than reflecting upon its more complex and variegated history. So in fascist education, you should expect job skills to be taught. People will focus on job skills. Universities will be urged to focus on producing workers for the economy rather than citizens for the polity. In a democratic education, by contrast, the focus is on raising citizens rather than workers, raising people who can engage productively with each other together in making policy decisions. Fascist education seeks to break down all such critical faculties. The purpose of the humanities is just to teach great books, the great books being the books produced by, for example, the Judeo-Christian male writers of the past that lionizes certain traditions over others. The goal of democratic education, a democratic education, would be to show that all sorts of people have voices, not just those that came to dominate militarily or culturally in a country. We could expect, if there are fascist elements in a society, we can expect politicians to urge universities to teach job skills, to cut humanities, except for Western civilization courses, where that's understood a particular way. Of course, the West was never a monolithic thing, and the racial categories of today are not to be read back into the past. But when fascism is threatening, we can expect the schools and the universities to be battlegrounds between these two very different pictures of what we want from educational institutions.